Whether you consider yourself to be on the left or on the right, odds are you think the media is dishonest. Well, pat yourself on the back, you're absolutely right. But in the United States, most people tend to think about the media being dishonest in a particular way. If you ask someone on the right, they'll say CNN and MSNBC are fake news. They're twisting the truth to make conservatives look bad. And if you ask someone on the American left, they'll say Fox shouldn't be considered a news network at all, and they only exist to make liberals look bad. While there is some genuine beef between liberal and conservative outlets, and their viewership often does kind of hate each other, that's not the kind of dishonesty that really matters. Yes, MSNBC loves to make fun of Trump's mannerisms, and Fox loves to highlight Biden's gaffes. But at the end of the day, all these corporate networks play for the same team, and that's powerful interests that not only own the media, but pretty much every aspect of modern politics. Here's a quick rundown. You have a tremendously wealthy group of people and business interests. They donate large sums of money to politicians. Politicians deregulate the media. Now these ultra-wealthy players have both elected officials and media outlets in their pocket. What do they do with that influence? They spend a little bit of money, relatively speaking, we're still talking millions, to make sure our society is structured in such a way that they can make a lot of money. That means the passing of bills that allow, for example, oil drilling in protected areas. That also means providing scripts to local news networks to spin their actions as positive and win over the public. Remember that viral clip from a few years ago?
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
That was the work of a company called Sinclair Broadcasting, which owns dozens of local news channels and had a message they wanted to put in front of the viewers. This, in a nutshell, is how corporate mind control works. Invest in politics, buy favorable legislation, make sure the public doesn't get too angry by controlling the narrative. Most people watching this video are probably too young to remember, but before 2001, the 24-hour news cycle didn't exist. Being bombarded with manipulated information 24/7 is a relatively new phenomenon, and we're only just beginning to understand the consequences. The main takeaway from the last 20 years or so is that corporate media not only influences, but often dictates public opinion, shaping narratives to serve particular interests, even at the cost of human lives, as evidenced by its complicity in the genocide of the Palestinian people, which we'll talk about in a minute. But first, just one quick statistic. There are about 3,000 outlets that are considered sources of news in the US. All of them are owned by one of just 21 companies. And every single major news outlet, we're talking CNN, MSNBC, Fox, NBC, all the big ones, are owned by just 5. This quasi-monopoly allows the people who own these companies to feed the masses a twisted version of reality, and make people believe whatever they want us to believe. This creates an environment in which only the news that fits the interest of the individuals who own these private companies makes it to the public. This corporate domination of the media goes hand in hand with the corporate domination of the government, and perpetuates a system where absurdly wealthy individuals run the show without ever needing to be elected. Let's take a look at a currently ongoing case study, the joint US-Israeli genocide of Palestine. I've given a history of the ethnic cleansing campaign in previous videos, which I'll link in the description, as well as some other resources to give you some context if you're not familiar with the situation. The very short version is this. The Israeli apartheid regime has been attempting to ethnically cleanse Palestinian land of its indigenous population for over 75 years. The brutality sharply escalated in the aftermath of a surprise attack by the Palestinian resistance on October 7th. Since then, Israel has killed at least 30,000 people, roughly half of whom are children. It's hard to even get accurate counts anymore because the IDF has purposefully destroyed every hospital in Gaza, as well as infrastructure, schools, refugee camps, and international aid vehicles. The footage coming out of Gaza is horrific. This is the most widely shared and recorded genocide in history. So it would stand to reason that Western media would be journalistically obligated to report these facts, right? This is where it becomes apparent that the corporate media absolutely does not provide factual reporting. Since October 7th, the media has dutifully reported Israeli propaganda word for word with zero evidence. The accusation of 40 babies being beheaded was proven to be a lie. US media is still running with it. The accusations of mass sexual assault were proven to be a lie. The media hasn't walked that one back either. The Hamas headquarters under hospitals? A lie. Literally every accusation Israel has made has turned out to be a complete fabrication. and yet the media still twist themselves into knots to let Israel off the hook. Why? We'll get to that in a minute, but first let's take a look at some concrete examples of media complicity in genocide. We'll start with the nuts and bolts of how media spin works. If you're thinking, well, who the hell is this guy to explain this stuff? My degree was in journalism and mass communication. This is my bread and butter. I specifically chose not to go into mainstream journalism because of this exact problem. All of these rhetorical tricks are very common, but they're also super easy to see through once you know how to look out for them. Take this headline, for example. Starvation is stalking Gaza's children. Okay, at first glance, that seems alright. It recognizes that children in Gaza are starving. What's the issue here? I bet you can guess. It doesn't address the critical question of why they're starving. People don't just randomly starve en masse. It leaves out that teeny little bit of information that Israel is purposefully starving these people. They control the roads in and out of Gaza. They have blocked humanitarian aid for months. They have opened fire on children swimming out into the ocean to retrieve airdrop supplies. At time of writing, the world just witnessed what will be called by future generations the Flower Massacre, where Israeli troops lured Palestinians to a vital food drop, then butchered them, killing over 100 people and wounding 700 more. There's a picture circulating of a parcel of flour soaked in blood, which people are calling the most expensive bag of flour in human history. Palestinians have been forced to resort to eating grass, animal feed, giving newborns a date wrapped in cloth to suck on, anything to give them a little sustenance. And of course, these people are dying. This is Israel's doing. It is intentional. It is a war crime. So when the New York Times, the most respected paper on earth, leaves out that critical piece of information, it lets Israel off the hook for genocide. A responsible headline would be, Israel is starving Gaza's children. And while we're on the subject of the Flower Massacre, it's sickening to see perhaps the most blatant war crime yet get twisted to avoid naming the perpetrators. Here's the New York Times on the event. Live updates. In chaotic Gaza scene, many are killed and wounded as Israelis open fire. This is another one where the average person might think this is an acceptable, if strangely worded, headline. Let's break it down. What happened? Starving Palestinians were baited into a killing field by much-needed food aid and then were butchered by Israeli troops. How would you spin that? Instead of saying massacre, you could use chaotic scene. You're not technically lying, massacres are chaotic. Instead of citing the death and injury statistics, you could just say many. That makes it more palatable. Then instead of explicitly saying the occupation forces targeted and shot the starving people, you could simply say they opened fire, helping stoke the misconception that people were killed not by Israeli troops, but in a stampede. This is journalistic malpractice at its best. You maintain plausible deniability while completely obfuscating the reality of the event. A responsible headline would be, Massacre in Gaza. 100 killed, 700 wounded as IDF fire on starving Palestinians assembling to receive food aid. It gets all the facts across, it's just as concise, and it doesn't let the perpetrator off the hook. But the New York Times isn't alone in obfuscating the truth of this story. There are countless other examples. The Associated Press doesn't mention Israel, neither does Forbes, or Voice of America. USA Today even repeats Israeli lies despite video evidence of what happened. But perhaps most egregious is the BBC's headline. Israel-Gaza war. More than 100 killed as crowd waits for aid, Hamas-run health ministry says. This is truly reprehensible. Not only do they not mention that the IDF were the murderers, they also disingenuously call the genocide a war, and they manage to squeeze big scary Hamas into a story that has nothing to do with Hamas. Even if you think Hamas are terrorists, in which case I have bad news for you about what you would have thought about every other historical liberation movement. Saying Hamas-run health ministry is like saying United States-run health ministry. Hamas is the elected government of Palestine. All the BBC is trying to do here is scare people by invoking the name of the current Western boogeyman. Let's take another example. Once again, from the New York Times. Hamas rejects ceasefire proposal, dashing Biden's hopes of near-term deal. That sounds pretty bad. I thought the Palestinian people wanted a ceasefire. Must be that evil Hamas not caring about their people again. Let's take a quick look at the article. What's this? Hamas is maintaining their position of demanding a long-term ceasefire, not the brief humanitarian pause policy wonks have come up with. So what's the real story here? The elected government of Palestine has maintained the same position as always, Israel makes a ludicrous offer of Palestine releasing their prisoners in exchange for a brief ceasefire, after which point the genocide will continue, and somehow the headline they come up with is Hamas rejects ceasefire. But there's more to it. Obvious Hamas scaremongering aside, the headline also tries to paint Biden in a good light. This is very sneaky. The fact of the matter, regardless of how Biden and the pundit class have tried to spin it, is that the United States and Joe Biden are complicit in the genocide. The US has vetoed the ceasefire not once, but twice. We have sent weapons and funding to Israel to facilitate the ethnic cleansing. And now reports are coming out that there in fact are American soldiers in occupied Palestine taking active part in the genocide. This was suspected when the White House put out and then quickly deleted a tweet suggesting as much a few months ago, and has been all but confirmed with Aaron Bushnell statements and the photos of US soldiers circulating online. Let's be honest here. This is not just the Israeli genocide of Palestine. This is the US-Israeli genocide of Palestine. If we fund and arm the murderers, if we veto the ceasefire, if our media does everything it can to deflect the blame, we are complicit. And the New York Times trying to suggest he's working so hard for peace makes our media complicit. And these are just a tiny handful of examples of how the media twists their words, omits crucial details, and just straight up repeats debunked Israeli propaganda. There are hundreds more from the last few months alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BSN show. We back. We back.
We're bad.
We back.
He's white. He's mad.
Yeah, you can't put this right here, man. That's a bad spot.
Here, I got a little shelf right here.
I got you right here. Thank you, Mikey.
I'll
I appreciate
it.
it. Gentlemen, Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic, man. Just healing up from little hockey bruises, but I'm good.
Hockey bruises. I've been hearing, man. You going hard out there.
Now I got to slow it down. I'm playing smarter, not harder.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there, man. You know, work is important. You got to get back to work, dude. You know.
Yeah, your boss is like, he's playing hockey again.
Can't afford your shit. What he thinks if you're the one compromising your check.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't afford to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about you. That's why I don't even play full court basketball anymore. I'm like, fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. You can make fun of me all you want, but I'm not playing. I'm almost out of breath from dancing to Electric Avenue. And then we take it higher.
I love that song.
Tommy, how you doing, man? Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, I'm good. Chilling.
Yeah, man. How you been?
Chilling, man. Tired, you know.
Get that fucking mic right up in your mouth, man. I know. Yep, right there. Yes, right there. Keep it there, centered.
You're in working man mode, right?
Yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah, you were up early this morning, right? 1 a.m.
I'm trying to figure out how to get rich, man. Anybody got any ideas? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, Ben Shapiro says, fuck you, go back to work and you're never retiring.
Right.
That's what Ben
You
Shapiro
gotta
said.
work for yourself, man. You're an entrepreneur.
And then one lady wants us to retire when we're like 65 or something.
Yeah. Dude, well, this is the thing, man.
70.
I'm not even joking. He said
70.
He said that shit, dude. He said that
They
shit.
want to raise that shit to 70.
No, he said, personally, I don't even know why we're retiring, is what Ben Shapiro said.
Yeah.
With a straight face.
Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem. Everybody that I know who is elderly, who has retired, is dead within 5 years. And if you talk to people who are elderly and they lose their purpose in life by losing their job and they stop working, things go to hell in a handbasket real quick.
Probably because they see politicians keep their jobs until they're like 100.
If there's no retirement, then what are you working for?
And you never really take...
They're out of touch.
There's so many avenues we could get into with that. But it's true, man. Like, to even say that with a straight face, that you're never gonna... Like, I don't see the point why people need to retire. I struggle to find a more asshole thing to say. Or even just a way to be. Or a way to just say, fuck you, man. You're nothing. You are a peasant. That's all you do. Be glad with the little you get.
Yeah. If he said that in person to me, I'd beat him with a rubber hose.
Dude, I am trying to
Break loose.
maintain my peace, but that dude really does make me angry when I hear him say shit like that. It's just like, dude, you were a little... But then that's me, right? Because like Dr. Gabor Mate said, If you get triggered, that's you. You know, somebody else says something, but you're controlling yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're the one that actually pulls the trigger, you have that mechanism within you. All that other shit is just build up. So
That's true. Yeah.
yeah.
You released it.
Yep. So you're giving them control when it's like that. Anyway, anybody got anything else cool to say before we start talking? We got some good things to talk about today. It's going to be a really, really interesting show this Friday night. What we have for you, these BSing shows are getting serious too. Like they're getting serious. They have been. We've been. Well, I'm reading this long ass book about CIA and all this stuff, so we're setting up for the Gangsters of Capitalism 4. But in the meantime, these BSing shows, people are saying, "Man, you're revealing a lot of stuff," and I'm like, "I am." I was like, "I am." Let's go. Let's keep doing it.
It's actually much larger than BS, but I like the title because it throws the man out. Yeah, it's a good shield.
It's just like, dude, you can't say.
Title, yeah.
I think about it like how the when Fox News and MSNBC got caught with their shit, and Tucker Carlson had to go, Rachel Maddow had to go, and basically the same thing. You get brought to court for just lying, and their lawyers said the same fucking thing. It basically came down to nobody believes what they're really saying. It's entertainment. It's not. And you're like, well, then why are they allowed to call themselves the news?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What is that? So yes, I call myself BSing with Tokes because it's just a way to, say we was just bullshitting. And you notice, man.
And you know, we used to go shopping like with our parents, and we hit the cashier's line. There was a bunch of magazines, like People's Magazine, and they always had some kind of ridiculous title. But like, you always had that sense of, they're just trying to sell a magazine, and it's just a title. We don't really believe that story is actually true,
right?
But when it comes to the TV, it's the same thing. With Fox 35, it's like. It's kind of like the same concept, but people, because they're actually looking at it, they believe it to be more true than the actual bullshit that they see at the cashier.
Because they want to believe it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
You're going to your confirmation station. That's what you do when you only have one information.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have another information to compare to your other information, and you're too scared or disinterested, or you've been persuaded to not give a shit about that other interest. Just like how we went to Vietnam to fight communism, and nobody knew what communism was.
Mm-hmm.
None of them people knew what communism was. Until today, we don't know what communism is. 90% of America, the people that hate it the most, Kwame Ture says it like this, and it's fucking hilarious. He says, how are you going to say a snake is your enemy, but you don't even care what it looks like? So you're telling me the snake is going to come and it's going to bite me, but I don't even care what it looks like? He's like, it's a stupid system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stupid system. And I think that's fucking a great way to look at it, actually. But anyway, yes, it's pretty ridiculous when you look at the whole thing and the way they just, are allowed to keep on. Like right now, they're not telling any truth, man. Like they're just not able to. They have to keep up with this TikTok thing and make sure that
it's all about programming us. They're like just trying to program us.
Well, journalists, don't they have some kind of, like doctors have a Hippocratic oath? Don't they have some kind of oath or something
I thought so.
some kind of
journalistic
moral disclosure clause or something that they have to report? But I think that they've been loopholing in this shit, and it's like, well, we can spin it this way and still get away with it, and it's just drifted so far from the truth that now it's just utter bullshit.
Yeah,
I think.
No, you're right.
But they have some kind of legal obligation to tell truths, I guess. I don't know. But
well, in 1976,
something that could be believed to be the truth. I don't know.
Well, it can't be, because in 1976 they revealed that there was fake journalists giving reports and everything in the church committee hearings. It got revealed. It was brought out in the church committee hearings, and they said the CIA was behind all of it. They were paid like over 600 journalists on their payroll. There's only 50 states. Think about this. So over 600, they were publishing books and everything. So they brought all this shit out, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll discontinue it." Or no, they said something about we'll continue, but we're just not gonna. I forget what they said. They said that smart language that they do, and the lawyer language,
jargon,
right? Which you're hearing a lot of that shit right now too, with all the things that are going on. You're hearing a lot of the lawyer language. Man, they're getting like the unprovoked and all that shit. It's getting pretty creative where they're at. All right, today we're gonna start with talking about Aaron Bushnell. This is not exactly. This is not celebratory. We are all adults here, and so with deep seriousness, we're gonna go on and we're gonna say, this is crazy. This is honestly can't be overstated how crazy this is. That an active duty soldier took his life on February 25th, self-immolated, and I'm not going to show the video, but I'm going to go ahead and say what he said. He quote, "I'm an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of the colonizers, is not extreme at all. This is what our ruling class has decided will be normal. They have suppressed this story like so much but they're doing it by dismissing him as mentally ill. Like the little play that they give him. Mm-hmm. So this is how they're suppressing it. Instead of just squashing it, they're giving it a little coverage and dismissing it as mentally ill. That's what I'm noticing. And it took forever for them to do it. It took a bunch of soldiers to burn their fatigues for this to really get some impact and them have to say, okay, well, let's... But they're really not even covering it now. It's all about Trump or whatever. It's sickening. It's fucking sickening that this man did something like that. And that's what we're going to talk about, right? Because a lot of people think that he...
Well, for one thing, they say he was mentally ill. Okay, this guy was an active duty member of our military. You have to go through, evaluations prior to entering the service. You're deemed mentally fit.
Yeah, talk about that a little.
To serve in your country and active duty with he doesn't have any blemishes on his record. He wasn't a shitbag or anything like that. The guy was a solid airman, as far as I know. So
he's squeaky clean, dude.
Yeah, and so where did this mental illness come from? It must have came from his time in the service. What did you subject this man through to see? What did he see to make him go to this extreme? They caused the mental illness.
If they're saying
exists,
right.
So it's not on him. It's on them.
Agreed. If you're gonna say it is what it is, then you're gonna have to answer to that. What he just said. You got him through the screenings. He's squeaky clean kid. Looked like a great young man. All his friends said he was one hell of a person. When he said something, he meant something. He did a ton of mutual aid. He fed people. He enlisted in the Air Force. And then he went to the Israeli embassy in DC and he self-immolated. Which, man, I can't imagine what the hell that was like. That walking up to there and for him to be so calm, it tells you with what he said that he was not mentally ill. It was in his words. It was what he was saying. He was calculated. He made a sacrifice. He did not commit suicide. And that's the point.
So I guess the Buddhist monks that did that during Vietnam, they were mentally ill also.
Right. And the fact that we live in such a shithole, toxic, fucking empty, just abandoned by our leaders thing where the right and left are just fighting. It's just straight toxicity. It's a cesspool of fucking angriness. That's what's mentally ill. Not him. And what he did was he sacrificed himself to try to penetrate that fucking force field narratives that the media just propagates and keeps going and going and going. That's what he did. And to me, it would have been easier to be mentally ill.
Has anyone interviewed his parents?
No.
Have you read anything on that?
I don't know, actually. I haven't seen anything. But I know it took a long time because for them to say anything, because that's exactly what they were doing. They were looking at his record to see what they could dig up. And they couldn't find a fucking thing, dude. Yeah. Tommy, what do you think about that, man?
I think the government's got his parents on lockdown.
Huh?
You know, they must have been looking at everything. They went deep.
Yeah.
And I think, the government's probably got his parents on lockdown.
Yeah.
You will not say the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or will deny you his death benefits. As leverage, probably something.
Well, he donated. Well, I don't know if this is true. Go ahead.
It's just so annoying, right? Because, how do I say it? I just get so tired. How many times? It's like they just get away with stuff right in front of your face. It's so annoying. They can make people go away. Or something happens to somebody, this sacrifice, this guy comes and they try to blame it on mental health. The Epstein guy disappears. It's so convenient. Who's getting in trouble for all this shit? They just get away with it, bro.
Right in our faces.
They're getting more bold. So fucking tiring,
dude.
Enough.
They disappeared Epstein, and not a motherfucker from his list that he trafficked children to went to jail, and he disappears. Out of a maximum security, fucking on suicide watch, everything.
One motherfucker hangs himself and he breaks his jaw in the process. Who breaks their jaw hanging himself?
And he got that sweetheart deal from Dershowitz, who is also Israeli, just supporter at the fullest, who wrote the book and didn't even know what he wrote when he had to debate Norman Finkelstein. These people don't even write their own books. They just fucking show up to the fucking signing and smile and take pictures and fucking sell you propaganda, man. It is a fucking fuck show. I swear to God. You guys have to fucking read the book Inventing Reality by Dr. Parenti. You have to. Or Manufacturing Consent is a great one by Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. Look, there's tons of books out there. Mm-hmm. There's tons of books out there, guys. That's the difference. If you want to know, go ahead and learn. If not...
Can I say something on that part?
Go ahead.
People are always looking to get their mind blown with some type of information, something new. Boom. But I think a lot of times we're limited, or people are limited, where they think they should be looking, or where they think they shouldn't be looking. Christian people are taught, if you read outside of the Bible, that's bad. And even I fell into that trap.
Are they taught that?
Yeah, it's
what's part of the old intolerance for other religions, dude?
Listen,
why would you read outside the Bible? Oh,
listen, I fell into that. I fell into that. I call it all the.
Because all part of religions are evil.
Why wouldn't they want you to read the other?
Let me tell you, bro. Wrong. Let me tell you,
why is it wrong?
Because they fall into the psyops. They fall into the psyops too. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's what I tell you.
And for y'all that don't know about the psyops experience, the whole thing about psyops is through this logistic programming where it could be basically anything. It could be what we thought to be true through generations before us, that passed down to us through teachings. It could be through TV, movies, commercials, images.
Early programming.
Yeah, so what they try to do, they try to create a pattern in your self-conscious part of our brain. And because 80% of our neurological activity is already happening in that part of our brain anyways, that if they can hijack the self-conscious part of somebody's brain, that they can hijack their conscious perception of reality.
Right.
And
because your subconscious brain already has that material stored, so it's kind of just going.
Yeah, and you mix that with religious people who think now that they're serving and worshiping some god, but in reality, what they're really worshiping and serving is a religion. And then the religion uses God as a weapon.
That's what we're
and they weaponize
too. And they must be stressed because it's the rapture, right? Like they are waiting on the end of the world. So that is freaky in itself. So it goes back to what we were talking about in Gangster Capitalism 3 about the conscious brain and the subconscious brain is when you have reflexive behavior because you're so stressed out that you're just literally just kicking it off, get it out of here. That's not true. No way. Because your subconscious brain already has it in it, and so you're not capable of taking in anything because of your stress hormones that are freaking dude. It is real science to this crazy shit, and so that makes sense of what he's saying because they have infiltrated your subconscious brain, is what he's saying.
And let me give you an example on top of that. Do you know in the circus? They used to take these little baby elephants and they used to nail a little stake into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. Put a little rope.
Slow motion.
Yeah. Too. They put the rope around the elephant's neck, and every time the elephant tried to pull it, a little baby bunny, he couldn't. I mean, as a baby bunny. I got bunnies at home. I raised bunnies. But anyways, as a little baby elephant, the elephant would try to pull, and was never strong enough to do that. And as the elephant grew and grew and grew and grew, now the elephant is way strong enough to pull himself out of that little stake in the ground. But because since a little bit he was trained, that action always kept him there. Even as a big ass elephant, his self-consciousness sees that rope attached to that thing, and his self-consciousness believes that he can't move from there.
It's conditioned.
Yeah, it's conditions. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and
it's good stuff, man.
Yeah. It puts that. They take control over what your brain has already processed as known information. So it's given. So it's not even questioned. You know what I mean? They're taking over that part of that information that you just accept as truth.
Yeah. So this is the Holocaust of our time, and we're gonna get back to this real quick because I want to read something, but I gotta find it first. It was for Caitlin Johnstone. She's a boss about all this stuff. Let's see, here it is. Yeah.
We're talking about religion. I mean, like he's looking Christianity. I've done college level classes on world religions. I've studied all the religions of the world, and Christianity is the only one that says everybody else is going to hell. You know, it is, and it's like Hinduism and Buddhism and they all have such a tolerance of other religions. It's like it doesn't matter, man. Like how as long as you worship, is all.
Can I respond to that too?
Yeah.
So I feel like Christianity, what it actually is, and the Christianity of what you see now, the Christianity of the people who are actually trying to push Christianity out loud are the people who fall under the psyop effect.
The spell.
Of what they're the ones who feel like.
You know what Kwame Ture says? He says about reading every Bible. He says, why would you not? He's like, the whole history of man has all been about religion. He's like, why would you not read every Bible so you can understand the history of man? And you want to read every little thing you can get your hands on, man. I was inspired by that man talking like that. I said, you know what? You're fucking right.
Ancient Jewish transcripts.
Yeah.
Those translated.
A strong man can read something without being it, without feeling something. You can learn stuff without having emotions about it. You have to acquire the knowledge in order to make your conclusion anyway, in order to draw an opinion. You have to have some sort of information to weigh against another information in order to come up with your own conclusion to it. So that's what he's saying, is just read it all. Because the struggle of man has been all about religion.
And you know what you'll find? I've read through, not all of them entirely, but I've studied all of them thus far. You can relate to every one of them. Every one of them is relatable in the same way as Christianity. And that's what they're scared of.
That's the other thing. Okay,
they're not. We're gonna realize that they're not the be all end all of religion. You know. like Confucianism and Buddhism, man, it's fascinating. Oh my God, the wisdom, holy shit!
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
And the Quran, I'm reading the Quran now. I'm not about halfway through.
These people are getting me,
but it's
staying on this time.
They talk, it talks great about Jesus. It talks highly. It uses a lot of the Bible, man. But the reason why Christians condemn Islam is because they say Jesus was a prophet, not the Messiah. That's the only thing.
That's it.
But that's what I'm saying. Christians will condemn
Islam,
but the Bible doesn't condemn it.
Right. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So where do Christians get the idea?
It's the same Bible, they say. They don't recognize Jesus as the Messiah.
But see how one condemns one and the other doesn't condemn one?
And one does
condemn. Why is one being taught that they need to condemn the other when in their book it doesn't even teach them anywhere?
Because that's the imperial world. That's because those are the capitalists.
And they fall into the psyops.
Well, when you understand the fucking history of what we do, it makes sense that we would channel shit this way to kind of say, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, buddy. There's plenty out here for everybody. We'll pray for you. But man, come on. Get that house, buddy. You homeless guy.
Yeah.
Shake that medical bill off that bankrupt you and your whole family. Because your daughter has some specific disease or whatever, so you're just ruined. You're the unlucky lottery.
I know you worked your whole life. You get 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah, you are now a bad person because your daughter has a disease that you indebted your whole family. Because we look at money and success, and people say, it's sick, man, and that's a culture, dude. And so to keep that going, and here's the thing about capitalism that most people don't understand. I'll say this before I get onto this tweet because we got a lot to talk about. The thing about capitalism that people don't understand is left to its own devices, it will not work. On its own, with every perfect reform that you feel is necessary, libertarians and everybody, this is the part where you're wrong.
Yeah.
Left to its own, it has internal contradictions that will fucking break down. It must get profits. That will equal fucking poverty because you're going to take bottles of water and say, we can sell this now. More profits, more growth. When you have to grow every quarter. Some people got to work 2 or 3 jobs. Get that. Hey, we got too much staff here, man. Cut Becky and Tom and let's fucking pile the work on Chris over there.
Well, that's what they pay, high paid execs for, is they come up with decisions on how to squeeze more out of them.
It's because those benefit packages, they cost the company money, so they don't want to fucking deal with that shit, man. They just want to fucking pile the work on said person and not worry about that. And there's many ways, but that's just an example of how they must profit at all times. And that's this thing about capitalism. Eventually, left to its own devices, it's still not gonna work, no matter what.
Does it end in revolution or reform?
No, it always ends.
It ends in revolution because
I know that was
It
always ends corporate greed over human needs at the end of the day.
Well, this is the thing about that too. Yes, it is greed,
profits above people,
but it demands greed. Once it monopolizes, it crystallizes it. It says, "Oh, now this is you," and that's why it makes sociopaths. Because you might not agree with it, but this is what it is, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I got mine.
Them kids gotta die. Them babies gotta starve.
More for me, less for them.
Do you know what it must be like to fucking starve to death? Do you know how painful that fucking must be and how many people are going through that shit right now? So Caitlin Johnstone writes, Mike, you're gonna like this too. This woman writes with fire. One of the main reasons the self-immolation of Aaron Bushnell is having such an earth-shaking impact on our society is because it's the single most profound act of sincerity that any of us have ever witnessed. In this fraudulent civilization where everything is fake and stupid, we are not accustomed to such sincerity. We are accustomed to vapid, mainstream culture manufactured in New York and Los Angeles, airheaded celebrities who never talk about anything real, self-aggrandizing Instagram activism, synthetic political factions designed to herd populist discontent into support for status quo politics, phony shit-lib, quote, I hear you, I stand with you, but I actually don't do anything, posturing, endless propaganda and diversion from mass media and its online equivalents, which are algorithmically boosted in Silicon Valley tech plutocrats, and a mind-controlled dystopia where almost everyone is sleepwalking through life in a psyop-induced fog.
Damn, I think she covered everything.
We ain't even, bro. She's just getting warmed up right now. Watch this. This chick's about to spit bars, dude.
She will.
That's the only reason I'm talking this on the show, because it's really that good, man. This chick does spit fire. This is the sort of experience we have been conditioned to expect here in the shadow of the Western Empire. And then, out of nowhere, some Air Force guy comes along and does something real. Something as authentic and sincere as anything could possibly be, with the very noblest of intentions. He live streamed himself lighting himself on fire and burning to death in order to draw people's attention to how horrific the US-backed atrocities in Gaza actually are, knowing full well how painful it would be, knowing full well he'd either die or survive with horrific burns and wish he died, knowing full well that once he connected the flame with the accelerant he poured onto his body, there'd be no turning back. He didn't back down. He didn't go home and stuff his face with snacks and gossip in the group chat and see what types of mindless escapisms there are in Netflix and Pornhub. He lit the flame. He even struggled to light it at first, and he still did. There's nothing in our society that can prepare us for that kind of sincerity, that kind of selflessness, that kind of purity of intention. It stops us dead in our tracks, as if the fabric of our world has been ripped asunder, and in a way it has. We're not really living in the same world we were living in before Aaron Bushnell lit himself on fire at 1 p.m. on February 25th. It was far too sincere an act, committed in the least sincere city on this planet. It shook things around far too much for all the pieces to fit fully back into place. I myself am permanently changed. I find myself reapproaching the Gaza genocide with fresh eyes, renewed vigor, and invincible determination. I now write with a different kind of fire in my gut. And looking around, I can see it's much the same for others. Where previously we'd begun seeing the opposition to the incineration of Gaza beginning to lose a bit of energy due to the despair and how hard it is to keep something energized for months on end, we are now seeing electrifying enthusiasm. More importantly, this is shaking things up in mainstream society and not just within the pro-Palestine crowd. We are seeing Bushnell's final words about the U.S. empire's complicity with genocide shared on mainstream networks and CNN, ABC, while Israeli apologists run around falling over themselves, trying to tell people nobody cares what Bushnell did, like a guy sending a woman dozens of texts saying he's totally unbothered that she rejected his advances. A member of the U.S. military lighting himself on fire while screaming "Free Palestine" is absolutely devastating to the information interests of Israel and the United States because it shakes people awake like nothing else ever could. All around our fake plastic dystopia, people are now opening their eyes, saying, wait, what? That man did what? Why? I thought nothing matters but my comfort and my feelings and my small circle of people I care about. My country is complicit in what now? Is it even possible? I've been missing something this important? With this profound activist sincerity, Aaron Bushnell extended the world an invitation to a very different way of looking at life, an invitation to pierce through the veil of superficiality and narcissism to a radical authenticity and a deep compassion for our fellow human beings, to a profound sincerity of our own, with which we can shake the world awake in our own unique ways. At 1 p.m. on February 25th, Aaron Bushnell lit more than one kind of fire. A fire that drives us to act. A fire that lights the way. A fire that inspires us. A fire that shows us another way of being. A fire which shows us a better world is possible. We won't forget his message. We couldn't if we tried. Aaron Bushnell tweeted on it, left on his Instagram or on his Twitter. Quote, many of us ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery? Or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing a genocide? The answer is, you're doing it right now. Man. So I thought that was a brilliant piece that she wrote.
But I don't think it has the popularity or notoriety that it deserves yet.
Correct. Well, she wrote that a couple of weeks ago in her defense, or like a month ago in her defense. So it's been 5 months now. But it does, though. It does. It's more than 5 months now.
5 months?
Yeah, October 7th.
Oh, I thought you were talking about since he lit himself on fire.
No. But I'm saying this is crazy, dude. This is it. And there's soldiers now. Mike Preisner out there, and you know, they all decided, these were former retired vets, and they all decided to burn the rest of their fatigues that they had and have, you know, come together, because they were all, what they say is, we were they say, look, man, you don't have to have PTSD or nothing, but you're like, what was it? It was so good what they said. You're like morally injured. You know what I mean? Like you're broken in a different fucking way. Yeah. You know?
You're damaged goods.
Yeah. And I'm butchering what they said, but it was really good.
Your conscience or something? Or?
Yeah, it's like you're broken in a way, man. But you're not fucking broken, but you're like fucking broken, you know? And it's wrong to do to people, man. It's time that
convicted, like conviction.
It feels like you lost a piece of your soul.
When you see your brother in arms, man, go light himself on fire, and then you see it not getting the play you want, and you see them calling him mentally ill. And let's talk about that for a second now that we're past that. Post 9/11, 7,000 and some odd people died in combat. More than 4 times.
Over
now.
30,000.
More than 30,000 have committed suicide since then. If you're gonna call him mentally ill, and you're not gonna acknowledge the people that are really seeing some shit and going through some shit and are really mentally ill, think about how backwards that is. If you're really wrong about that, and it does seem like you're fucking wrong about that. Just looking at it plainly, it's pretty fucking obvious when you look at it. So you could take their word for it when they get paid millions of dollars to take that camera, put on the suit, go in there and tell you what's going on. But they're the same people that are shutting down or trying to shut down TikTok right now, telling you it's China and Russia and shit and it's for your safety. But really, it's for their safety, because our top 10 donors are all Zionist. And lo and behold, Biden is the #1 AIPAC donor.
Recipient.
From the Israeli lobby. Mm-hmm. So, a recipient.
Yeah.
Correct. Sorry. So, that's fucking weird. When you consider what happened to Bernie, I mean, you know, and guys, you know, if you're on the right wing or whatever, first of all, you shouldn't, like, I don't even want to talk about that shit, but god damn it, guys. If you can't notice that you're wearing a fucking black hat and not a white hat by now, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. And that's brother to brother. Liberals, fuck them. They're just gonna stay there, and they're not gonna know any better. But I expect more from you motherfuckers. I really do. You guys are curious, you want to know, you're there. Man, do what Mike did. Pick up the fucking books. I mean, goddamn. You're not even curious? Not the slightest bit curious? Look at what's going on.
Yeah, I'll say it too, man. I expect more from vets, man. I expect to see more things like this in support of it, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, drop that blind obedience shit, man. You ain't in it anymore. You know, you don't have to play that game. Because like you said, what they do is you compromise your morals immediately. You're not allowed to have any. You just go do what they tell you.
Right. You're theirs.
And if you don't, how dare you traitor, son of a bitch, you know? How dare you have morals? How dare you question this?
Let me see something real quick.
They don't even allow you to process it then, you know.
What is the definition of a cult?
That's why you're seeing all these suicides where, you know, people get out and then they have all this time to think about it. Because you ain't allowed to think about it while you're in.
A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. I think we're there.
It is a cult, you know.
And so is the Republicans and Democrats.
It's brainwashing.
So is the Republicans and Democrats. Vote blue, no matter who, sounds like the most cult shit I've ever heard. And MAGA is a fucking cult, man. It's all there. And if you don't, if you don't know you're wearing a black hat by now, just look at Hitler's words. We were an inspiration to him. He'd be very proud right now. He'd be tipping the hat. And if it wasn't for those people, those Russians that we hate so much, they killed 80% of those fucking Nazis. They don't like Nazis. The commies are not the Nazis. They're the first fucking people he killed. It's very backwards with everything we're learning right now. And it's very important that we start to revisit this whole thing.
I mean, I just want to know, I have a stupid question.
You don't have to commit to shit. Just read it.
Stupid question. I mean, China's a threat. That's all you hear, right? But
it's all we hear.
Everything we own has a made in China tag. So what the fuck, man? I mean, but we're do business. Oh, that's different. You know what? How is that different? If they're such a threat and an enemy, why are we doing so much business with them? Mm-hmm. It's because they're not a threat and an enemy. You know, I mean, it's because they're not a threat and an enemy, correct? But we have to make them a threat because of that. What that man said in the beginning. If you have something we want, we hate you. And right now they have growth. They can outgrow us. They have a system that works. They have a fucking system where they don't let people just fucking steal all the money. They have a system where they don't let you steal energy and charge people half their rent money or half their fucking income on rent. They don't do that to people. And that works. It fucking works.
And they probably don't want to admit to, but they make a shitload of money off of China anyway.
We pay half our wages.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna get back to that. No.
We don't know that.
No. But Americans should really be scorned because we exploited that as soon as this is so. I say this all the time. I'm sorry, I'm a broken record, but it's so important to know this. When we were strikes and the unions were at their best and shit, that's when they took the jobs and said, fuck that. They needed the wage to go lower because the system needs to, you can't squeeze on the product, you can't squeeze on the shipping or whatever the fuck the other things are, but you can always squeeze the worker. And so they do. And whatever they do, they'll give you a raise, but then they'll raise a tax over here and fuck you on your medical, whatever it is. It's always something. And so they outsourced those jobs to China. And China was so backwards. You can say they used slaves, whatever, man. Fuck off. Understand the context. 1949, they were so backwards because of Western imperialism, the Opium Wars and all that shit. It was a century of humiliation. They were so backwards that they didn't have anything. So they had to fucking get up. So when the jobs, when they had the Cultural Revolution, they did a lot of things wrong. But what they did right was they put the fucking state and all that shit into the hands of the government. And then they excelled it and started opening up markets and doing capitalism because they knew that Russia or the Soviet Union wasn't doing the capitalist. It was strictly state model. And so they, in 1976, Deng Xiaoping opened up capitalism in the private market and it exploded even more and it continued their success. But it's so important to understand that that shit didn't happen by that we outsourced all those jobs to them to help that happen. And our technology, we gave that to them willfully so we could fucking get rid of American jobs, shit it over there so these people could make monster profits, super exploit these people because they're making peasant wages. So and so then it never stopped. Now it's down to the nail clippers. I mean, everything's from China. You could look at anything you own. And now they've been promising all the while that those jobs are coming back. It wasn't just China. It was India. It was everywhere. It was in the Nike factories, I think, in India and stuff. Oh. Anyway, it's Honduras. It's fucking everything. Pillsbury and Firestone and shit are in Honduras. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, in places where there's nothing.
Bangladesh.
So it's really important to understand that we got rid of all those American jobs to do that. And they've been promising the whole time they're bringing those jobs back. They're never going to bring those fucking jobs back. They're replacing you with robots. that's gonna cause everybody to unite. So they can't tell you that shit because all the workers gonna say, well, fuck it, let's shut shit down then, and that's too easy. So they have to balance this shit out. They're just riding this motherfucker out until they get us checkmate where they don't have to. And right now they just took Hawaii, so they're probably building some shit over there right now.
I watched that show Shark Tank, and every time like somebody starts a business and they try to package everything in the United States, they always end up going to China. And they're like, why'd you go to China to get everything packaged? It's like, because it's just so much cheaper by doing it by them.
But
even if it has to be shipped over here.
But that's the thing. When it ships, they leak oil and toxic, and they pump the toxins into the fucking air when they're putting it in cargo ships. It's a huge carbon footprint.
But the crazy thing
just
is
the
that
cruise alone,
a lot of people who start businesses
footprint.
Go and deal with all their packaging stuff through them, though.
Yep. True that.
But it's funny, you know, China's wages are whatever, $6 an hour. Yeah, but their rent's only $1 a month, man. You know, I mean, they don't finish the story.
Their standard of living is going up.
Yeah,
that's all there is to say. Mm-hmm. They lifted 800 million people. It's UN recognized. These are UN numbers. You can look them up. 800 million people out of poverty. I think it's even 850 million people out of poverty. That's 3 Americas. Okay, so if you could erase poverty, and again, these people didn't have refrigerators, they didn't have shelter, they didn't have fucking shit. And they supplied it all for 800 fucking million people. And they're booming. And now they're the second biggest economy in the planet. And they got a 5.6% growth last year. And America had lucky to have half of that.
Don't they have the lowest COVID percent or something?
And they're going to start growing again faster. They're going to start growing again faster because they have they fund the green energy the most, the renewable energies and shit. So they're doing it so much that they're actually dropping the cost of oil or energy, not oil, energy. Because it's becoming so popular. And in America, we noticed their numbers and how much they were funding it, and it's almost like we went the other way and just said, well, fuck it, we're not doing it at all. We're not doing it at all then. Because that has to come out of the oligarchs' pocket. They're sending our money to Ukraine and fucking Israel and all these fucking... That's what the empires do. That's what Rome did. They're so expanded all over militarily and so depleted. We're ripe for revolution, man. When that happens, I'm going to be like, hey, go kids. Go kids. Go do it. But do it right. That's why you got to educate them right now. That's why you got to talk to them. Say, read some shit first, man.
Going into teaching. Yeah.
Yes. But it's happening. Man, look at the people out there talking right now. I've heard some really intelligent kids. There was this 15-year-old that I heard that blew my mind because her older brother taught her shit. And she knew about liberation movements and everything. And I was just like, damn, she's 15 years old. If she can do it, man, the future's bright. Future's bright. Future's real bright. We just can't let them sink us. And that's what they're trying to do.
I kind of forgot to mention this earlier, but Jewish students who are pro-Palestine, they get so much heat. It's actually insane. Because if a Jewish person is pro-Palestine, I've heard people say, oh, you're a fake Jew. You don't care about our community. You're a self-hating Jew. And it's really the amount of, I would call it anti-Semitism that people go through for advocating for Palestine is insane. And that's the thing. If we want to create a world where Jewish safety is not only protected, but also respected, it means creating a world where you don't commit war crimes and wave somebody's religious symbol in the air. It means making sure that people don't think that Jewish safety is exclusive to Palestinian safety. And we need to remember that our advocacy for Palestine isn't anti-Jewish safety. It's synonymous with Jewish safety. So reading up on that is also really important because, yeah.
Can you explain that? It's a really important concept. And yes, I mean, I'm someone who I get called a capo, and those are the people who were supposed to, be prison guards for basically subcontracted by the Nazis to treat other Jews, to beat up other Jews, kill other Jews if necessary. Capo, fake Jew, as you said. But can you talk more about how Jewish safety and Palestinian safety are interconnected?
Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing. Although I'm not excusing Zionists or Zionism at all, a lot of the times I think people need to realize that there aren't so many Zionists because they just spawn that way. It's an exploitation of generational trauma. The fear that Jewish people have for their own safety, that is real and that is valid. But instead of addressing that in a way that actually attacks white and ethnic supremacy, it has been exploited by capitalists and by the ruling class to propagate more ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. So until we address the fact that the reason why so many Jewish people are easily being exploited by this propaganda system is because we have failed to actually address the white supremacy that propagates modern day anti-Semitism. For example, like when we see like any like genuine acts of anti-Semitism today, like for example, I think it was Charlottesville. It was like a few years ago. It was like the people like chanting like Jews will not replace us.
Yeah.
They weren't attacking Israel. They were attacking Jewish people. We're starting to promote the idea that Jewish safety is about protecting Israel, not protecting Jewish people. And that's so dangerous. And that's the thing. When it comes to the Jewish youth and any youth, children are not stupid. Children want the truth. And if you are actively exploiting them through propaganda like education, and when it's so gross to the extent of exploiting a generational trauma of as gross as the generational trauma of the Jewish people, then that is modern day anti-Semitism. It's actively taking away attention that we could be putting towards taking apart systems of neo-Nazism, neo-colonialism, and white supremacy. And people don't realize that activists of any religion, whether it's Islam or Judaism, are getting attacked partially on the basis of their religion when they advocate for Palestine, because this is not about Muslims versus Jews. This is about the working people, the common people versus the ruling class.
Well, thank you so much, Sky, and come back. We'd love to hear more from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you soon, Sky.
Thank you.
And stay strong. Don't let the bullies shut you up. Let us know if they try to do anything else. We'll do something back. We'll write a letter. We'll start a petition. We'll put them on blast. We'll dox them.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye, Sky. All right. That was Sky. That was great. What an inspiring conversation. And by the way, make sure you like the stream if you haven't already. Brad, do we have those super chats from last time? Because we had some super chats that we forgot to read because it was such a long interview. He's getting them. And Tyler, is this set so that only people who subscribe can comment? Because we want that to be the setting in case it's not. I had to ban some people. Let's see. Yeah, that was pretty great, that conversation.
Do you think it ever would be possible for the nation to march on Washington? Like, you know, like the 60s on steroids.
They're fucking up fast.
Seriously,
Mike.
man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because
that would do something.
I think it's gonna happen, bro. I think we're close because everybody's kind of agreeing right now to some extent. They're saying, yeah, man, this is fucked up. And dude, that's a small group right there, man. Israel's like 9 million. This particular form of Israel is shit. It's a failed fucking project. Whatever the fuck you guys were trying to do, you had Nazis meeting with Zionists before Hitler even fucking and they were pushing they had plans to push the Jews out of Europe the whole fucking time and push their way into Palestine.
And prior to that, 1947, Christians and Muslims were living next to each other, worshiping in the same area peacefully. There was no problems.
And do you feel safe now? Like, you're in control, right? It's fair to say that you're in full control of what you want. You got the full backing of America. You got the propaganda fucking circus. You got a fucking force field, that Iron Dome that can protect 97% of incoming rockets and missiles. Do you feel safe right now? Because now America has put you in a position that you're in the most dangerous motherfucking place ever, dude. You got everybody surrounding you right now. Hezbollah is gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, you want to get mad at your government for painting a fucking target on you.
Exactly.
You know?
And I feel so bad for the people that are in there that do feel like that were protesting out front of Netanyahu's house and shit. Like, there are good people in there just fucking trying to, like, and all those people that lost, got hostages still. Families are still going, what the fuck, man? You're bombing? I mean, imagine being one of those parents for the hostages and they're just fucking bombing.
Kids are at, yeah.
They're saying these are precision targeting? What? What are you talking about? You just blew up every fucking thing.
Yeah, bombing destroys the whole square block, city block is not precision.
Yeah. Leveling everything. Carpet bombing.
It's area.
Fuck, man. And in their rhetoric, everybody's saying it. There's not just a few comments where you go, yo, you could go to this comment. It's just complete rhetoric where they're talking about kill them all.
יש לך משהו להגיד, אומרת ש...
על מה? על מה?
גם ככה ערבים, מקסימום.
אוקיי. בסדר בעברית? פשוט מאוד. צריך להיכנס לשטחים, וכל מחבל שעושה פיגוע צריך להרוג אותו, צריך להרוג את המחבלים, ואז הם יפחדו ולא יעשו לנו בעיות, והכל יהיה בסדר. הם יהיו בכפרים שלהם, אנחנו נחיה פה, לא צריך להיות ביחד, והכל בסדר.
I think also that every Arab that doing a terrorism attack, we have to kill him, and not because he's an Arab, because he's a terrorist. I think you should also kick out the family, because it all begins with chinuch. How you say it?
Education.
Whatever they teach the kids does. You know, it's families.
I'm think that we need to... איך אומרים להעיף את הערבים? כן, תגידי לי את המילה הזאת. נו, תגידי לי מילים, אני לא...
אני לא יודעת לתרגם. I don't know how to translate really well.
I think we should give them a country. If you're doing any problem, you just go in there to give them a country, and then it's going to be a war between countries, you know? If they're going to throw rockets, we're going to throw one big one and done.
I don't think there's any answer to it. Really? There's only one way, like, I would carpet bomb them.
You would carpet bomb them?
It's the only way you could deal with it. Like, or try to stop them a different way. It never worked.
You mean all Arabs or Gaza or...
I believe that they, like, I hope to believe they're not, but I do think they are, because I don't trust them. You can't trust them, and that's the only way I believe that. The only way is just to stop it completely.
I think that we're miserable. The Arabs make a פיגועים, and we need to kill Arabs.
Okay.
We'll talk about this later.
All right, cool. Well,
there is also Jewish civilians that hate Arabs. Yeah, I'm not saying, but we have also people that like the Arabs and everything, like Smolanim.
I think another thing that the Jews should have rights to hate them. I think we have the right to hate them. I don't see a reason why not. I wouldn't trust any of them.
To better understand this mentality, I also talked to Ronnie Barkin, a Jewish Israeli citizen who grew up in the country and is now an ardent critic of the notion of a Jewish state.
Like anyone growing up in Israel, I went through the whole indoctrination mechanism. And we are being trained to be soldiers from kindergarten, literally from kindergarten. The moment I realized I managed to sort of overcome that indoctrination, then everything became very clear, because the situation is crystal clear. One of the main successes of Israeli propaganda is to convince the world that the situation is complicated. But it's far from being complicated. It's probably the least complicated conflict in the world today. And it's all about basically those who have the power, those who oppress and subjugate and tread over the indigenous people of the land who have been oppressed and subjugated and expelled from their land. And this is what it's about. The situation here is not very different other than the way it is perceived in the world and among Israeli society themselves. They like to perceive themselves as being something else, as being, liberal and progressive and all of that. And I also thought of myself as such until I realized that actually, this is not the case. The case is very clear, and I'm not on the right side of history. And that's when, the moment I managed to overcome this type of brainwashing, then the rest was very easy. The State of Israel is all about creating a place which is for one select group and only that. It's not only the fact that they wanted to take over, to usurp the land and the resources and all of that. It's also about this exclusive nature of the place, that this is ours and only ours. And even any Palestinian being born in Israel, even if they're Israeli citizens, is already regarded as some sort of a threat to the state. The need to segregate, the need to separate and not to interact with Palestinians is part of Israeli identity. So we have to understand that Israeli identity depends on denying Palestinian identity and denying either the existence of Palestinians altogether or at the very least denying their identity, their culture, and so on. And also, right after the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, right after the Palestinians were expelled from their homes and became refugees, the very next thing that happened was that there was a concerted effort of mass looting of books and other cultural artifacts from Palestinian homes, which was led by the National Library in Israel. So it's for a reason that when we say existence is resistance for Palestinians, this is true. Just by very existing on their land, this is an act of resistance in itself.
Get rid of them. And there's not one person that's not displaced right now in there. So what Aaron Bushnell did was a fucking move, man. It was a power move. To say, hey, let's see if this fucking works.
How long do you think it'll last?
Forever. This ain't going away. Because the move is, Netanyahu's already talking, they got him talking about taking Africa. They need liberation now. Because of everything that's going on over there. Oh, after we're done here, we're going to go liberate Africa. Of course. I'm warning people and they're not listening. But I've been right all along. I can't miss. I can't miss, and it's because I'm on. I found the truth. I found the truth.
The truth should set you free.
I know.
It's falling on ears that like us, in a sense, don't know what to do about it. I mean, other than what we're doing right now,
Right. Well, we got plans, but they're not big. We're just trying, man.
I'm telling you, man, I think this election is it's gonna be another.
Once we go live on here, I think it's gonna be harder for them to censor us.
Waypoint. No, I'm just saying it's like there's some stuff that's gonna come to a head over this election. There's gonna be some more incidences.
You think?
Yeah, man, because I think regardless of the turnout, I don't know. I think if Trump wins,
do you think he could win again?
There won't.
He's gonna win.
There won't be.
He's already won.
There won't be any kind of violence or any bullshit. I mean, maybe. I mean, there might be cities lit on fire somewhere.
I think Biden's got cancer.
But if Biden wins,
I think Biden's got cancer.
It's like there's going to be some kind of upheaval.
I think they projected, because that's what America does. Whenever they say something about somebody else, it's true about them. And I mean this in all cases. Israel does it in a lot of cases too. We got to get on with that too, because I want to talk about that for a second while we're still on this before we go on to the next thing. But I think Biden has cancer because Putin looks fine. And if you watch Biden right when Putin invaded Ukraine, he gave a speech and he looked sharp. Like, I was like, that ain't sharp just a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Who looked sharp?
Biden did from 2 years ago. And now he can't even fucking
talk.
Anything. I mean, he can't even anything, yeah. So
wasn't he just declared mentally incompetent to stand trial?
Yeah. And that's just
But you can be the president of the United States. I'm just saying the absurdity of it. Like,
that's
you're
crazy.
willing to go that way.
We got a mentally ill president. We're calling Aaron fucking Bushnell mentally ill.
So what they're saying, if one was still in jail, they would have still made him president while he was in jail. They were willing to still do that. So
Laura Loomer tweeted this. Quote, "This is what mental illness looks like. I don't care if he's a veteran. Fuck him."
Who said that?
Laura Loomer. I don't even know who she is. I guess she's a talk lady or whatever on a certain show or something. Fuck her.
what's the name?
Laura Loomer.
Well,
Loomer. What a piece of shit. I can't use the C word. My girlfriend don't like it. But that's what she is. I would use the C word for that.
Can I say it?
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Super C.
Oh. But you know what, though? You don't have to wish bad on people like that. It's coming for them, man. That's what I've learned. You actually have to pray for people like that.
You're supposed to.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's strength. That's what I learned from Dr. King. All right, guys, this is important. We're going to go on with this. Where are we at? Oh, we're not doing bad. Damn, where does that time go now, huh? That's pretty good.
She's a Trumpster.
Let me see.
Of course.
Laura Loomer.
Let me see this.
Liberals would never be honest about it. They just think like that, but they would never say it.
You can scroll.
Okay, so anyway. Guys, 40 beheaded babies. Babies getting pulled out of their mother's womb and stabbed. The mass allegations of rape. Mass rape.
Show me the picture.
Nothing. No evidence so far. No, nothing. No people that come forward. Not one single person that held up. A New York Times journalist was caught as a fraud. She was just hired to do this story for her first journalist thing. She had ties with a guy that was fucking behind a bunch of bullshit. The UN has got contradicting stories and their testimonies for it that overlap, and just where basically to give you an example, the guy in the field basically said he saw something, and then somebody or said that, and somebody confirmed that was not the truth at the same time somewhere else, basically, and so they got conflicting reports like that, but they're not talking about it. So clearly the UN is the US. Clearly. Like Vijay Prashad said a long time ago, how can you expect the UN, which annual budget is $3 billion, to basically discipline and control a $1 trillion army, $1 trillion a year, the strongest military, the strongest government of mankind? How can you expect them to regulate that? You can't. So where was I? What was I saying before that? Oh yeah. So all the allegations that were going on, nothing. Not one lady. They said, oh, well, they were dead. Oh, well, they're alive, but they don't want to talk. Oh, but this is fucking important, guys, because this is the weapon of mass destruction now. This is the Gaddafi now. This is the fucking Kuwait thing now. The incubator babies now. This is the fucking Gulf of Tonkin now. Fuck.
They're trying to bring back the Red Menace.
The Red Menace. Is this twice or three? Is this 3? 4? What part movie is this?
4.
I'm surprised they don't start making movies of this shit and selling it. Because it is hilarious, dude, at this point.
Each one's worse than the...
Russiagate was all fake. And then the Trumpsters are like, yeah, thanks.
Fell for it.
Yeah, man, but there was no evidence to support it. It's nothing. And they still push it. And that's the thing. Okay, so here we go. So they're still pushing these things. Thousands of images. This is so important to know. There's thousands of images. Tens of thousands. Some say 100,000 of images. Footage from helmet cams of Palestinian fighters. Surveillance footage from security cams, drone and helicopter cams, and cell phone videos. Not a single one shows sexual attack taking place. And this is a location that was untouched after the fucking shit went off. Because it went to Gaza. And this was in Israel. So it was clean, and you could just go gather evidence all you want. They said there was missing heads. They said they were kidding out. I'm sorry that I have to be graphic right now. If I apologize in advance, but I have to say this because this is what was being said. They said they were cutting off breasts, tossing them around, cutting off heads, kicking them around. 7 heads were kicked off. They said there was 2 girls that were hiding in a ditch that saw women getting raped. None of these people came out later. It was all these specific Israeli soldiers that gave these stories to the UN, and they basically just said it must be true. And now we're finding out that there's none of these people that could testify to these things or anything. But nobody's saying shit. In fact, they got people like Rabbi fucking Shmuley and shit going on these fucking stations on Piers Morgan or whatever, still repeating these fucking stupid lies of just seriously, like beheaded babies and stuff. And here's the thing about it, right? Because when you think about it, I forget. They had I think it was Glenn Greenwald or something. Maybe I could pull up his Twitter and see if I can find it. But he basically did a thing about like how the lynchings happened and stuff. How they could able to get people with their families to just have picnics under people with lynching. It wasn't because they were telling them they were stealing from people. It wasn't telling them because they were hurting people or killing people. It was because they said they were raping our white precious women. And these brute black men are raping everybody. And there's a certain vibe that you get with that people go, you know what? Psychologically, they say, I know this is terrible, but fuck it. They're animals. Kill them. When it hits that threshold. Mm-hmm. And dude, this is how we have in America, I believe, a bunch of unintentional racists. And I was talking about Mike the other day on the phone about this. I said, Mike, it's real simple, actually, to explain it to people. You say, okay, what do you think about Hamas? They're fucking terrorists, fucking... Okay, Grant, give them that. Okay, whatever you think about it.
I said that?
No. I said, I was explaining this to you, and you were just listening the whole time. So I said, what do you think about Hamas? Oh, they're fucking terrorists, blah, blah, blah. Okay, granted, give it to them, right? So then you go, what about America? And then you go, well, what do you mean? What about America? Well, you do recognize, right, that how many people are in Hamas? 25,000 people at the most, 20 to 25,000 people. You do recognize you're talking very strong about a small group of people at 25,000 people. Forget about the fact that before 1987 they never existed. Forget about the fact that if there was no Israel, there'd be no Hamas. Forget about all that. When you hear that, and then you don't say anything about America, when you know, well, just in 2001, we bombed Iraq and killed 1 million people, innocent civilians in Iraq alone, just off our bombs. Our fucking depleted uranium killed much more later and all that stuff. And our sanctions killed much more. Anyway, you do know that. Every fucking citizen fucking knows that, right? All right. So if you know that and you're fucking sitting here talking about some people just because the motherfucker on the television told you that this guy is bad, brown guy bad, you are a fucking piece of shit racist, even though you're unintentionally a piece of shit fucking racist. Congratulations. Welcome to America. You're a victim of the fucking system.
And here's a fact, Obama, Bush, and Clinton, those three presidents killed 11 million Muslims. And not once have they been called terrorists.
Right.
So, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Nobody's coming to bomb their house like they're Gaddafi.
And I'll tell you something else, too, about piece of shit Biden. A week into fucking Aaron Bushnell's self-immolation, not a fucking word of his name. At least 6 days, I know for a fact. At least 6 days. He didn't say his name.
Did they ever call that Oklahoma bomber guy a terrorist?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah. Probably had to scare everybody in a direction. There's probably election year or some shit. There's probably something going on.
That's probably true.
Creation of enemies,
Yeah, man. I'm just sick of people not fucking trying. If you're just gonna be there and you're gonna keep your brains hard and not let anything penetrate it, then good luck with your fucking life, man. Good fucking luck, dude, because everybody's trying to get a piece of you. Trust me, whether you feel it or not right now, it's coming.
Or maybe they just don't care. You see this and you're like, yeah, that's
you're
bullshit.
gonna care.
You think that's bullshit, but that doesn't affect my life, but it does, and it will. It is. It's affecting your life every day. It's happening to you. You just don't see it.
Yes.
Everything ties it to it.
You guys really do.
It's why you're fucking.
We are in such
going to work mad on Monday.
We are in such a shitty place that you really do have to imagine, like how much better it'll be, man. You really do, because that's how shitty of a hole we're in right now. But it will be beautiful. It will be beautiful. Was that something? Oh, I
think it was my stool. Sorry.
Oh,
sound like somebody rapping on the door.
No, it was your thing, I think.
Well,
but guys, like instantly, I could give you something, right? The fastest way to develop a fucking or get out of debt and give people a ton of jobs, high speed rail, connect the whole fucking country together, man. And it's bad shit. They got high speed rail now that goes faster than planes.
Every time it's down.
Dude, faster than a plane in a fucking. I just want to see it.
Obviously,
that sounds like us is doing what we do. That's cool shit, man. I want to go see that.
Season ticket to the Bills.
I want to go see how that works, dude. I want to go see how the fuck you make that happen. And that's what we're missing, right? Because if people could work together, because there's things Americans can do so great. And if we can offer that to them and they can offer themselves to us, man, look, I'm not trying to give you some heartfelt shit. I'm trying to say that we have to do this. And it only makes sense that we do it. We're the ones that are putting up the wall. You know what I mean? They're trying to talk. If it's a relationship where you're like, yo, I just want to talk, and that other person doesn't want to talk, that person that doesn't want to talk is us. We dodge peace deals, treaties, and fucking everything. And we sabotage it through the media and say, oh, we tried. Oh, I can't negotiate. They're dangerous. I don't know. Meanwhile, we're selling them fucking bombs, telling you we're humanitarian, giving them fucking aid drops that only serve 30,000 people, while we're actually fucking still bombing the fuck out of them with American bombs.
The peace deal was, hey man, stop bombing us and we'll return all the hostages. Hey, that sounds like a fucking good deal.
Oh, you
that's fair. That's fair, right? No, we're not gonna stop. No, fuck you. We have to kill you.
Dude,
we're not gonna stop until we kill you.
Dude,
and this, I just want to bring something up. Like, people believe this shit. This is the mentality of one of my good friends. From the military, fucking hit me with this. He's like, "Well, it's those people's fault for fucking having Hamas as their government." That's like saying it's you or my fault for a leader that we have that you didn't fucking vote for him.
Yeah.
It's not my fucking fault, dude. It's not my fault for any of them, whether I voted for them or not.
At the time, it was a great thing because Hamas was the only one that was sticking up for them. They were a resistance group, and they were fucking getting shit done. And no, they don't use them as human shields. They're together. They're family, dude. Yeah, they are them. Most of them people, half of fucking Gaza is kids, 18. If 50% of them is 18 and younger, 65% is 24 and younger. And here's the thing too. So all those fucking kids that are dying didn't even vote for fucking Hamas, you fucking stupid fucks. They weren't old enough.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're a fucking retard. I'm sorry for the retards. That's an insult to real retards.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because if anybody else is...
Because retards are good people. They're still fucking good people. Fuck you guys, man. I'm fucking sick of everybody, man. Yeah, I'm getting outside myself, and I don't get emotional. I just did yoga yesterday. I had a great yoga session. It was good, man.
Where you go?
Me and Eric. Me and E-Dubs.
But where?
His gym that day.
Cool.
We straight off because he's all the way over there and I'm all the way over here. So sometimes when we do the shit that doesn't, I got the nice gym over here. So when we do the shit that requires weights and shit, we do it over here. If we do cardio or some shit over there, we'll do it over there.
That's cool.
Yeah. But we got the yoga in yesterday. It feels fucking great, man.
Was it hot yoga?
No, we can't get it hot.
Just regular.
100. You got to get it to 120 degrees when it's hot.
Go do the goat yoga.
I know what that feels like.
Don't forget to do the goat yoga.
The goat yoga.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we got before we get up. We good actually. We're still good. We still got time. The goat yoga.
Yeah, they jump on your back.
Yeah, I looked that up after that show.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it was cool. Mm-hmm. I almost showed a video of it.
Unless someone pees on you, that should be.
So yeah, there was no evidence, and there was a lot of claims, man. Like let me just say that too, guys. There was so many claims. Just go back and listen to everything they said. They said crazy shit.
Yeah, it was too. It was too far fetched for me to even believe. Like from Jump Street, when I first saw it, I was like, "You're not fucking way."
Well.
And on October 7th, Hamas terrorists carried out one of the most horrific terror attacks against Israelis in history. They used GoPro cameras, live streamed their atrocities, which included torture, murder, and yes, rape and sexual assault. These are simple facts. The evidence of the pre-planned rapes, come from video footage, photographs, GPS data from mobile phones, and interviews with eyewitnesses, as well as terrorist admissions themselves. Numerous independent news organizations, including the New York Times, CNN, the BBC, and others, have all reported on Israeli women and girls who were sexually assaulted on October 7th. But it didn't end there. Israel is now reportedly preparing for the possibility of the return of pregnant female hostages. Let me repeat that. The possibility of pregnant female hostages raped by Hamas while in captivity. According to a recent report in Israeli daily Ma'ariv, there have been comprehensive discussions in hospitals around the country to prepare for this scenario. Today, there are still over 130 hostages being held by Hamas. Of these, 19 are young women. We know that many of these women have been brutally sexually assaulted during their time in captivity. We know this because of the doctors who treated some of the released hostages, who said some had also suffered sexual assaults. We know this from the testimonies of some of the released hostages who said they had witnessed or were confided in by these girls about the rape and sexual assaults they endured.
ואני רואה שהיא נסגרת ושקטה והיא לא היא. תסלחו לי, אני אגיד מילים לא יפות, אבל הבן זונה הזה נגע בה. היה עוד מקרה של אחת שהגיעה שחשבו שהיא חיילת קצינה בצבא, והם עינו אותה לידי, ואני אדע לזה.
And this is not the only testimony, there are others. 17-year-old Agam Goldstein Almog, who witnessed her father murdered by Hamas in front of her and was released in a hostage deal, has been a voice for the female hostages.
הוא שוב פעם נכנס לך למקלחת, הפשיל אותך מהפיג'מה שנתן לך, תוך כדי גם נגע בפציעת הכדור שירה בך. זה כאב לך ממש, אבל השליטה שלו בך כאבה יותר. הגוף שלך כשלו, ככה הוא התייחס אלייך. נכון חברה שלי? ואת שם, אתם שם, לבד, כל כך לבד.
Today, nobody can say with certainty just how many women were raped or abused. Most of the victims of October 7th were also murdered. And the hostages are unable to speak, unable to share just how many times they were raped in their over 100 days in captivity. And yet, despite all the evidence, the world seems to have a problem believing that Israeli women were brutally raped. The world has largely stood silent. Women's rights groups choose to believe the word of the rapists themselves over those of the victims and the witnesses. It's a subject that has been quietly swept under the rug or flat out denied by pro-Hamas supporters. That is, until now. As time goes on, the evidence against Hamas and the scope of sexual assault is just too overwhelming to ignore. Certainly for Israeli women who refuse to stay silent as their sisters, daughters, and mothers were subject to the worst violence imaginable.
What's on your radar, Brianna?
Well, Robbie, the New York Times' mass rape story, screams without words, suffered another blow to its credibility yesterday, this time dealt by the New York Times' own reporting. Yesterday, the Times reported that video taken by an Israeli soldier directly contradicts evidence cited in the Times report, specifically in the original story from last December. An unnamed paramedic alleged that he found the bodies of two partially clothed teenage girls in Kibbutz Be'eri that showed signs of sexual violence. But the video footage now shows three female victims fully clothed with no signs of sexual violence. Residents of the kibbutz say no other teenage girls were killed, admitting the possibility of a simple mistaken identification. And a member of a group from Kibbutz Be'eri that looked into the sexual assault claims told the Times, and I quote, "The story is false." The New York Times now appears to be trying to whitewash its complicity in spreading mass rape propaganda by citing other outlets, including the AP, CNN, and the Washington Post, as examples of outlets who also repeated the false account of this unnamed paramedic. But shared guilt is not absolution. Outlets including Electronic Intifada, The Gray Zone, The Intercept, and Mondoweiss debunked this source and other flimsy citations in the mass rape story weeks or even months ago. For example, back on March 4th, The Intercept reported that a spokesperson at Kibbutz Be'eri said the two girls shot were, quote, not subjected to sexual abuse. Of the paramedics' claims about the girls, the spokesperson told The Intercept back then, quote, it's not true. And get this, when The Intercept reached out to the Times for comment on that story, again in early March, Times spokesperson Danielle Rhodes-Ha told The Intercept, we stand by the story and are continuing to report on the issue of sexual violence on October 7th. Apparently now they've decided to report the truth long after it's been covered by independent journalists who bothered to do the work of vetting the original reporting's flimsy evidence. As for their original story, don't hold your breath for a retraction. They've simply added a bracketed addendum to the paramedic's testimony saying that new evidence undercuts his account. An incredible understatement and, frankly, a mockery of journalistic standards. Don't forget what the original Times story alleged. It claimed that a paramedic had found the bodies of two teenage girls in a room in Be'eri. One was lying on her side, boxer shorts ripped, bruises by her groin. The other was sprawled on the floor, face down, he said, pajama pants pulled to her knees, bottom exposed, semen smeared on her back. In contrast to all that detail, when the Times followed up with the paramedic to see if he still stood by that account, he declined to say and said he'd like to put the attacks behind him. Later, an Israeli military spokesman told the Times, quote, the medic stood by his testimony but might have misremembered the place he saw the teenage girls. I see. He misremembered a mass rape scene. Pajamas, semen smeared on a child's back. He misremembered, as one does. As the Gray Zone and Electronic Intifada have been pointing out for months now, there simply isn't any corroborated eyewitness testimony, victim testimony, video evidence, or forensic evidence of mass rapes occurring on October 7th. The Screams Without Words report may stand as a generationally egregious example of media malpractice that will be taught alongside weapons of mass destruction and Iraqis leaving incubator babies to die as false justifications for brutal war. While UN Special Representative Pramila Paten's report last month was sold by the press as clear and convincing evidence that Israeli hostages were raped, what her report actually did was the opposite. First, she was clear that she had no investigative mandate, despite the UN's willingness, eagerness even, to conduct a full investigation. She did not interview any victims, despite, quote, concerted efforts to encourage them to come forward. And despite reviewing over 5,000 photos and over 50 hours of footage from October 7th, she found no evidence of rape in any of that digital evidence. Her conclusory claim that there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred during the October 7th attacks was based on what the report itself describes as circumstantial evidence. Bodies fully or partially naked, both male and female. And what she describes as credible witnesses who, this is important, who she declined to name or otherwise identify. So note that the now discredited paramedic could very well be among them. Here's what we do know. Paten found that no allegations of sexual violence in Kibbutz Be'eri could be verified, and that three major allegations by Zaka, the right-wing religious group that provided the basis of many of the New York Times' eyewitness accounts, were unfounded. Moreover, we now know that the Screams Without Words story was co-written by Anat Schwartz, a woman with no reporting experience, with a background in Israeli intelligence, and co-written with her partner's nephew, a recent college grad with only a few food and cooking-related articles to his name. Schwartz also had the distinction of liking a tweet saying that Israel needed to turn the Gaza Strip into a slaughterhouse and that it should, quote, violate any norm on the way to victory, since those in front of us are human animals who do not hesitate to violate minimal rules. This is who the New York Times put in charge of a front-page investigation into very serious allegations of mass rape. The New York Times is facing a generational credibility crisis. Meanwhile, the liberal media class is melting down over MSNBC's hiring of Ronna McDaniel as a paid contributor. Now, here's why this is still important. Just yesterday, suspended Israeli spokesman Ilan Levy lashed back at the UN's ceasefire vote by tweeting, quote, "The world must not encourage the Palestinians to look back at the gang rapes and baby burnings of October 7th and think, hey, those atrocities really pushed our national cause forward, but that's exactly what the UN Secretary General is doing. Too long don't read. Terrorism pays." But there is no credible evidence of gang rapes, and there were categorically no baby burnings. One infant, tragically, was killed on October 7th, a 9-month-old girl who was tragically shot in her mother's arms at Kibbutz Be'eri. But she was not burned. The mass rape and baby burning propaganda continues because it provides effective justification for the mass killing and starvation of millions of Palestinians that's been going on for nearly half a year now. In early March, the Gray Zone obtained leaked slides from a confidential Israel lobby presentation based on data from famed pollster Frank Lutz that showed the most effective messaging was that which painted Hamas as brutal and savage, an organization of hate that raped women, while Israel, by contrast, has been engaged in a, quote, war for humanity. When asked what bothers them, the public said what bothers them most was, quote, raped civilians. That topped brutalized, executed, or even murdered civilians. Now here, we have a likely explanation of why there's been an unflagging commitment to a mass rape narrative in particular, even when murders are easy to prove and frankly sufficient to make whatever point you might want to make about Israeli suffering on October 7th.
I ain't gonna lie, man.
So far out
I ain't
there,
gonna
man.
lie. I wasn't just saying, no, it's all bullshit.
No,
I didn't. I was just like, I could understand. Let me play devil's advocate. I understand, man. Because like me and Mike both admit, if it wasn't for this podcast, we really wouldn't have got to that fight.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have got, and then just shit happens. I think if you didn't have to go to your kid, I think we would have fought more maybe because we didn't know enough at the time. I don't know how that would have gone. But I feel it's destiny. It's destiny, bro.
What, us fighting?
Yeah. That had to happen. That had to happen for the next day where we apologize and say, hey, I didn't like that. I didn't need this. Yeah, man. You know, let's smoke. Fuck that shit. Let's not do it again.
Yeah.
And
that asshole I was defending and that asshole you're defending aren't worth that.
Right.
You know?
Correct.
That was the beginning of like realizing that people stand up for these fuckers and
right. And
I
I think
their ass with you if they had the chance.
I really do think that it all worked out for a reason, man. And look at us now. So we're on a journey. We're only going up. We're getting better every day. That's our motto. We get better every day. That's why we don't. If you actually, here's the thing about that, right? If you, first of all, it's a small increment. If you say like a year, like New Year's resolution, you're fucking up, dude. You're gonna forget about it in a few weeks, if not a month. But if you do days, it's better. If you do half days, like, yo, how am I gonna get better every day? And I find reading to be the best way to get, because you're literally downloading people's brains, their life's work into your brain, and as fast as you can read that book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do it, and working out, staying physically, mentally healthy, and all that stuff. But anyway, if you do it day by day, you don't forget about it. And when you have a bad day, you're like, I can get back on tomorrow. We'll go double as hard or whatever it is. But it's a realistic goal is what I'm saying. When you do it, when you get better every day. So that's my little motivation of the day.
Yeah. Read a book contrary to your beliefs.
That too.
Don't just
that
look at social media and see a meme and, oh, I agree with that. Yeah, I'm going to share that. That's me.
Right. Now, I just want to say something about this too. Guys, did you know about, well, besides the banning of TikTok, that is fucked up. As a matter of fact, let's Let's take a break for a second, and then I'm gonna show the graph. Just like that. All right, so they got a TikTok ban going on, and I don't know if it's gonna hold up, but it's fucked up. And they're saying it's China. Well, let me read you something real quick. This is what I know. This is they try to make it like a Republican thing, but at the end, but I don't give a shit. It's from a legit source. All right.
Just look at
this
the
is
votes in Congress. That'll tell you they all like voted for that shit.
Yeah, at Wisdom Raps on Twitter, on X. Sorry, I
not all. I think like 52 didn't win against it or something like that.
The voting on TikTok bill is scandalous, and this is not what you think. 60% of the company is owned by U.S. and international investors. 20% is owned by the company founders. 20% is owned by company employees, including over 7,000 Americans. As of June 2022, 100% of all U.S. user traffic is routed through the Oracle Cloud infrastructure in the United States. And today, all access to the environment is managed exclusively by TikTok, U.S. data security. Excuse me. TikTok Ltd was incorporated in the Cayman Islands and is based in both Singapore and Los Angeles. Its parent company, Beijing, based by T-Dance, is owned by founders and Chinese investors 20%. Other global investors 60%, and employees 20%. TikTok Ltd owns. So basically, they're saying that Australia, respectively, and the United States, wait, let me read the rest real quick, owns 4 entities, and they're based respectively in the United States, Australia, which also runs the New Zealand business. United Kingdom also owns subsidiaries in European Union and Singapore.
It's spread out all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why they want to buy it.
So why is it? Because truth is seeping through somehow.
And so this is the thing. They're not worried about foreign fucking whatever. Okay.
Communism.
This is domestic,
Red
folks.
Scare.
They're gonna slide things in this bill that are gonna make them be able to come after us and people like us.
Yeah.
And shut us down. And throw us in jail or whatever
It's
they
the
want to do
beginning.
with us. Yeah, this is it. This is it right here. This is the beginning.
Got that passport ready? No.
Yeah, mine's ready. It's right there.
Australia.
No, fuck Australia. They're us. They'll hold us. That's where Julian Assange is from.
They want to be us.
Isn't Julian Assange Australian?
I don't know.
Man, that just seemed like a cool place to live.
Did I say the wrong thing totally?
They got
I feel like I said something totally
kangaroos
stupid.
and shit.
I want to move to Southern
Where's Julian
France,
Assange
Marseille,
from?
Koala bears.
Monaco.
Huh?
Oh yeah,
I wanna move
I
to
said it right.
Southern France.
I was right.
Southern France, man. Marseille. You know. Beautiful Mediterranean life.
No, you're not gonna go to France.
Eating fish
They're
every
burning
day.
down Black Rock over
I feel
there.
like I like Australia food better than barbecue.
Guys, I hate to tell you, the future's gonna be in the East, buddy.
You be eating
There's
croissants.
Russia and China are right next door to each other, and they're buddies now. Nobody's fucking with them ever. And you know what's funny is they just found out that this is reported, so this is actual. There's 12 CIA bases along the Russian border.
Since when?
They were building them since 2014.
That's
since the coup.
important. Yeah, that's
when
important.
America funded the coup in the Maidan Square. So, yeah. So that part too. And I didn't have time today, or I was going to talk about on next episode. We're going to get into Obama overthrowing Honduras in 2009 and putting in Juan Orlando Hernandez, which Lee Camp covered, which did a good deal on it.
Which created the migration problem that they call, it's like, it's subject to U.S. foreign policy.
Yes. Right. Oh man, the story is wild too, because now basically the guy that we propped up, we're now prosecuting in New York for narco trafficking, and we're the ones that got him narco trafficking and fucking overthrew the government and put him in place. But once the people overthrew him and got him out and he was no longer needed by us, now we find ourselves
Now he gets the fuck you
prosecuting them. That's right. That's why Henry Kissinger said we don't have friends, we have interests. And it's like, guys, we should just start putting these quotes on the wall so people just keep reading them all day. Like, oh yeah, that was Henry.
Yeah, instead of putting like good inspirational quotes, let's put some fucked up shit that people said,
Yeah.
as a reminder of what they're doing.
Yeah, because
it's in your face then when it's in your face.
You have to understand that, when America's pumping money in Nazis in Ukraine and there's actual Nazis in their government, they were like, oh, there's Nazis in America. Yeah, not in our army. Yeah, they're not in our fucking army, and they're not wearing swastikas on their fucking clothing. So when that shit's happening, you have to remember that we were Hitler's inspiration. And you got to go, oh, well, how's this working out for us? How's this going? Why is this happening?
It's crazy because, like in World War II, I think it just really frosted America's ass having to partner up with communist Russia to defeat fascism. Yes. And I think that now they're gonna choose fascism. Well, they did.
Yeah.
They chose that. They chose fascism over communism.
They always knew they were going to do it. They had to stop Hitler.
They regretted it the moment it happened.
They had to stop Hitler while they wanted to stop Soviets.
But then immediately they had the Berlin blockade, and it was just.
They've been trying to stop the Soviets since the revolution. They invaded with 15 countries right away.
Yeah.
Right away. Strangled the Bolshevik baby in the bed. They fucking invaded right away, man, and they held their revolution, man. You know what's crazy is once you learn the other side, you start having respect for them, and that's really what they don't want. And you start seeing yourself in them and going, man, I could see us going through that, man. I'm sorry you did that. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know we did that. Sorry. That's what they don't want.
And we're not saying that they were perfect, that they didn't have to do
corruption. No, absolutely, right.
But we have a chance to do it better, to do it right.
Well, we're not perfect either.
We're not broke ass fucking Russia, starving revolution, starting from scratch, or China.
Yes,
we have money. We have a means to do it right. With a change.
Absolutely. Oh, and then some.
So like that little kid that said like a lie, and then instead of just saying, "Man, okay, yeah, it was a lie," because he got caught. He just tries to lie again. And
double down.
Three other lies. This is a cover.
Double down, triple down, quadruple down. Fucking all day.
It's just a pile of lies. They're all lies now.
But it's bad though, man. It's lies while people are starving to death, man.
Right. Well,
and now it's different. This is our Holocaust.
But this is how we wage war.
They did a bunch of. I'm sorry.
Sorry. This is how we wage war against this. We expose them for what they are through the media. Through confrontation. Through the podcast. But I'm just saying that you have to show the world what's happening. Bring awareness to it.
How the fuck do you do it?
Hopefully, there's going to always be people that'll still support motherfuckers.
TikTok was the way it was working, man. And now I'm pissed because we should have been using TikTok. I was like,
I've never used TikTok.
I haven't either.
I mean, I'm not against it. it's not for me.
I saw it as an addiction.
I don't see a problem. It's just like a social media platform.
I thought it was an addiction, so I was like, I'm gonna stay the fuck off that, Because people would send me shit all day, and I'm like, yo, you guys are fucking. I saw it. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers.
People doing a lot of dumb shit on there. I mean,
but our higher ups do a bunch of shady shit, right? But then they do a bunch of shady shit to try to hide the shady shit that they did when people get too close.
Well, what
so
they
just
adding, kill the people who get close.
We start the fires, and we start the fire, and then we go put it out, and we say, look, we saved the day. And we blame somebody else for starting the fire.
Billy Joel.
Yep. So where did we go? We go back to the TikTok. Because honestly, I think this. You can't say your freedom of speech when this shit's happening, man. You can't, man. I get it. It's owned. But you guys are fucking losing your mind because, again, let's see that graph. I'm going to put that graph up there. And you're gonna see,
Quit muting my videos.
You're going to see right now that...
This is world stats here, right?
For every one Israeli post, there's 54 Palestinians, pro-Palestinian posts. 30 and younger are eating it up. They're eating it up because they're curious. This is the first time it's in history there's ever been a live stream genocide. So kids are going to be curious, and you're not going to stop them because they're too young to be broken. The boomers may be gone, but the young are still there, and they still got souls.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to be like those German citizens that knew what was going on and didn't do anything about it?
They're already like them.
That's what's happening.
Because in my guess, Mikey, they say I don't even know, it's been 30,000 for like, if you haven't noticed, they haven't changed that 30,000 number in like a month or so. So I'm saying it's 250,000. I'm saying it's somewhere, I wanted to say between 100 and 200, but then I've been seeing pictures.
What?
I can't see. I think they're lying. I think there's over 100,000 easily dead.
What? Dead?
Easily.
I would say 3 times as.
And now they're starving, dude.
Yeah.
And now they're starving. So that don't last long, dude. The human can only go without water for so fucking long, man. Mm-hmm. And now they say there's reports of people out there saying, a lot of people are just saying, I wish I would just get bombed, rather because it hurts so bad to starve. So yeah, if you think you're on, you might want to look in case you might not be on the right side of history. Might want to check. Might want to look before crossing.
I wonder how many days it takes to start. Like 7 days or something.
21.
For real? 21 days about.
But the water is so crucial. You gotta have the water, man.
In extreme conditions, like in a desert environment, like 3 days, you're fucked without water.
Yeah, your organs are shutting down.
Yeah.
God bless him, man. Jesus Christ. Man, I'll never forget this. I'll always remember that my tax dollars were funding this shit while they're just pumping lies into my motherfucking ears and telling me everything's fucking fine and manipulating people like my mom and everybody. Dude, I don't give a fuck. I'll never forget this, bro. I'll never forget this. I'll never fucking forget this.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm morally wounded.
Yeah, and to me, nothing is more American than what we're doing. You know, like, is it un-American?
You should say human.
Well, I'm
what
just
we're
saying,
doing
I'm
is
just
human.
saying, I'm just trying to sell this.
Exactly, right?
You're right.
You know,
but it's bigger to be human.
it is.
It's bigger just to be human, to say, man.
I'm appealing to the Americans to be more human oriented.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way to say it, right? You say, look, man, just fucking get up. And what's it all about anyway, man? We're going to be dead in no time. What, you don't want to set something up? You don't want to at least tell your kids that you fucking try to fight? Went down swinging? At least have that in your fucking pocket. They want you to quit. They want you to quit. All this propaganda, all these things is to make you turn and basically just root on this shit. Say, yeah, they beheaded 40 babies. Yeah, they had mass rape systematic campaigns of rape and slaughter and shit. Even the New York Times lady, the one chick they used that put it out, she said, you motherfuckers, you didn't say you were going to make it a rape story and put it all out there and say that. She didn't even get raped. You didn't ask me anything about that. And it went back and forth, and I'm just paraphrasing all this shit. But basically, this is all right. But so they, dude, they're just making it all up, man. It's the weapons of mass destruction all over again. This is what capitalism is. It morphs into this, and you have to do this. They don't want nothing but that land. They want that land. They want the resources under it. They want to make it a fucking... they want to take have a channel that goes through India to the Mediterranean, and they want to bring it through there. And Netanyahu already showed pictures to the UN. It was weeks before the fucking October 7th happened, and there was no Palestine there. He's already planning for it to be gone. It's fucking cave, man. They've been taking it the whole time. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing. You can look at the map. where we showed last episode. In fact, at the beginning of last episode, you could see the map where they came in, they moved, and the only way they were able to do that because they had the backing of the British military and they had power of the imperialists. Because, like I said, the Zionists and the Nazis made a fucking deal beforehand to get the Jews out of Europe. And dude, this is what happened. And they want to create a safe place, but they ain't safe over there, man. They're not like this. Not like this.
It's never been safe since its conception.
Right.
It's over there. It's always been a hot spot ever since then.
Right. You
Never,
can't
not
just say it's
before.
going to be all Jews here and be okay. That's not, and then be having an apartheid state at the same fucking time. It's fucking crazy, man. And then say, like, this is different from what happened to us and Hitler. What the fuck are you even talking about? What are you talking about? The more you go on, the more it's the same fucking thing. If you look at the Holocaust Memorial, every definition fits the same thing. Their own listing on their website, you could see it's all verbatim. They're checking every box. In fact, I got it. I can pull it up. It's actually pretty interesting. It's worth sharing.
Well, we're dealing with a tyrannical government. What I was trying to say earlier is that there's nothing more American than standing up to a tyrannical government. That's the whole foundation of this country.
Amen.
And you know exactly.
I like that.
We are
I like
being.
that.
We are. We're victim to taxation without representation.
Right.
At this moment, because we're paying our taxes, but nothing that the people want is happening.
They're hiding trillions offshore.
They're passing laws that have nothing to do with benefiting us.
11 trillion offshore bank accounts.
Taxpayers.
11 trillion offshore bank accounts. We got to cover for all that. Dude, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So yes, we can bounce back quick, guys.
We're exactly like the colonists, man.
Yeah, they take a lot of money
taxation, not
from me.
representation.
They take a lot of taxes.
Not being represented. The taxpayers are not being represented.
So there's an endless push, like Mike said, to see if they're committing genocide or not right here. This is from the Holocaust Memorial website. 1948 Convention defines as any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. So any of the following acts: killing members of a group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of that group. I'd say they're causing a lot of mental harm right now. Jesus Christ, could you imagine surviving that? You'll never be okay. You're never going to be okay. You're never going to sleep again. Even if you manage to get out of that, you're never going to sleep again. Even if you have the most cushiest life after that. Even if you get fucking adopted by America. If America starts liking brown people and starts treating them like refugee immigrants from Ukraine and brings you in. Even if we treat you like one of them, you're never going to get it.
They'll probably have a
Never gonna be okay.
suicide rate like our vets following this.
Absolutely. So, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. You know, like cutting off food and cutting off water and shit like that. You know, they've had a blockade since 2006. And dude, people don't know that. They're like, oh, Hamas controls all their shit. No. Israel controls all their shit. They wouldn't, since 2006, they won't let them import chickens. They won't let them import chocolate. They do not even potato chips and shit. Like, they just fuck with these people. Just fuck with, and they kept them on a caloric intake diet. So they measured the average intake of the calories of all these people, and they adjusted the amount of food they would import just to be just enough. They called it starvation. They said we're gonna put Palestine on Gaza on a diet, and they said it's called starvation plus. So they were already starving before they were fucking starving.
I've been to Israel twice, and I've seen the on the street just the day-to-day individual levels of it, and it was extreme racism. You know, Palestinians were restricted from parts of the city. They were restricted in where they could live. You know, and just the treatment. I mean, Israelis would carry guns on them, all of them, citizens, and it was illegal for a Palestinian.
Because Palestinians got to go in there to work because they're 50% unemployed.
Yeah, and it was just antagonization.
And they got to beg to get the jobs. There's so many people that don't get the jobs.
They were constantly harassed and antagonized.
So you beg and beg and beg to be one of the person chosen to go work that day to feed your family. You finally get in, and all you're doing is getting insulted the whole time and called fucking names and shit. And fucking
Israeli cab drivers wouldn't let us in a cab because I had black friends. They wouldn't let black people in his cab.
You know what's fucked up? more
Just throwing
insults.
that out there. I'm not saying they're all like that, but I'm just saying that's the
I know,
Zionist,
you're
that's the
saying,
Zionist
yeah.
mentality.
I
That was the way
appreciate
it was
you.
on the
Yeah,
street.
I appreciate your point of view.
What adds more insult to that part is that some of them soldiers that are treating them bad African American people who were born in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
60,000.
Yeah.
60,000 right now are settlers from the United States.
So you'll have this Israeli soldier
have the right to
out
return.
there
Yeah.
treating these Palestinians this way with a whole New
These
York,
people
with a
still have
New
the
York
keys to their
accent.
house. These people still have the
Or a
keys
Boston
to their house.
accent.
And there's other people, and
It's
got the right to
crazy.
return. And these people can't go back to their fucking place. But
Yeah,
they-
you know what? I went to Israel when I was in the military, and a guy in my unit was Jew. Many of them were, but one of the Jewish guys,
amazing.
his parents lived there. He left us. He went to Israel for a while. He was allowed to. It was weird. I didn't even understand that. That might have something to do with it. He was allowed to, stay with his family in Israel.
Right.
But I don't know if he went IDF or
No, he sent me this documentary. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's like they have it's like kids, Israeli kids that are from the United States.
They took it down. You got to watch it?
Yeah, I got
They
to
took
watch
it down.
They did.
Israelism.
Damn, I watched it.
You got to see it, bro.
Yeah. So
Kids
that-
from the United States.
You didn't
that
see
go
that?
back to Israel.
But
no, the school systems they had them like
they indoctrinated.
They were indoctrinated. Like they had programs where they were actually paying for these kids to have these trips to Israel.
Yeah, dude. And telling them what to say. Telling them what to say, saying, hey, man, they're going to lie to you. They're going to say these things. This is what you do to combat the lies. So here's the thing. They put them in these programs about how to support Israel and be a good, bro.
Even I kind of remember kids from school going to Israel. Like I remember people talking about a trip to Israel, and like not me, but I remember kids talking about that when I was in school. Like it was a thing. Kids would go to Israel.
And so they took it down. I sent it to everybody. I said, hurry up and watch this shit before they take it down, bro. They took it down.
Yeah, I watched it.
They took it down. I sent it to like over 100 people, man. I sent it to you too. But you were probably busy.
How long did they take it down?
The day after, it was gone because Marquis sent me a fucking message. He was like, "Damn, bro, I missed it." I was like, "No way!" And I went and I hit it, and it was like gone. Yeah, because I click on everybody, dude. Middle East, whatever. I subscribe to everything foreign, man, because those people will slide you videos. They'll slide you fucking, and then they'll only last for a little bit, and then you go, "Holy shit, they got some shit."
We got screenshot those.
We in America, folks. We ain't seeing the whole picture. There's some real shit going on, man.
Our news is
like I said, the next show we're gonna talk about Obama coup in Honduras in 2009. Okay, everybody tells me Obama's this. If you're an Obama lover, man, and you could stand this is some true shit, and I'll give you the sources. So come on with it, and I'll show you why he's just another guy, man. He's just another one of them fucking imperial leaders.
Yeah, they're all evil.
They're fucking imperialists, man. Capitalism. That's all you need to see. We ain't got nobody that gives a fuck about stopping no wars. We ain't got nobody that gives a fuck about actual fucking workers. We ain't got nobody that's fucking pro-labor. Pro-union. They're decimated our fucking unions. Look at the fucking scoreboard.
Look at the
Sorry,
economy.
Mike, I didn't mean to yell.
Look at the economies of right to work states, and look at the populations and the stats on homelessness and poverty in those areas.
Correct.
Yeah, you know how the U.S. reports the news to the population? It's like a bag of Skittles. It's like they take all the green Skittles and they just showing you all the green Skittles. They don't want you to see the red ones and the blue ones. Those are too pretty. They want those for them. They'll give you all the ugly.
And here's the thing. This is what I want people to.
take.
This is what I want you guys to know, right? What's the difference between eating this? How's a steak taste when you got 200 billion or 300 billion? The steak tastes the same, right? What's a steak taste like when you got 100? It tastes the fucking same. Their standard of living isn't fucking decreasing nothing. When you concentrate wealth to one side so much, it naturally happens, but they have put artificial restraints on shit to make it happen faster. And like I said, export our jobs and everything to the fucking fullest extent because we can't, use our democracy to actually fight for wages and better things because, that's just how it fucking goes. But if all of that shit even was doing right, if they even said, look, man, let's try to give them wages and stuff, they still have to make their profits. We still get fucked, and left to its own devices, it still breaks. So you have to understand that part. It's very important. That's what you go study. Go call me out on that. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll bring you on the show. I love it. They're never gonna interview me on nothing serious, because I'm gonna tell them to their face that they are Satan, or they're working for him.
And then they'll take the video down the next day.
That's it. They'll take me off and they'll kick me out and they'll never bring me back. I will tell them. Look, man, and I will tell them politely.
This is how I know you're Satan.
This is how I know you're Satan. These are the facts.
Mm-hmm. They look at you when you're done, and you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
They'd smile. The foxes.
I'd say true or false. Were we Hitler's idol? I would say true or false. Were we Hitler's idol? I'll make them say it, or lie. I'll say you're Satan if you lie. You're Satan, or you're working for him. Fuck you,
puppet.
Yep. Man, I ain't fucking see. I see through these people like glass, dude. Nowadays, dude, it's easy, man. We're chilling now. We're in cruise control now. All we got to do is keep building.
Yeah.
Now I am, like I said, I have quit challenging my own thoughts. I am past that phase now, so I get to do fancy shit now. I get to actually strategically strategize some shit, think about some shit. Dialectically and materially and historically, materially, all that stuff. That's the way you do it.
You were rapping for a second.
I could, man. Spit it. But, man, I think people are coming around, man. Those protests are hitting. I seen a group of kids out. They were just going, yo, we're going to free Palestine. We were going to see our favorite tree out in Princeton. That cool big tree out there. You guys know that big tree out
like pink flowers and shit? Like a bunch of colorful flowers?
It's just this huge tree. It looks like an octopus, dude. It's got like branches everywhere, but it's been there since 1786, since our Constitution almost. And it even says it on the sign out there. Yeah.
Well,
so it's like our
Constitution
favorite
wasn't, in action until 1787, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might have been 1780. It was after, but anyway, we go there all the time, and I love that fucking tree, and I don't know, I just like that fucking tree. I forgot what else.
Yeah, I want to go see that tree now.
You were going to a free Palestine.
Oh yeah, the Palestine kids were walking by, and they were like, "Yo, we're going to a free Palestine thing," and I was like, "Holy shit, we're going to." We was already had plans and shit. Yeah, we had a fucking reservation, so I was like, "Fuck." But it's all good though. I love those kids though, man. That's what it's all about. They're out there and they're doing it, and that's where we got to be. We got to be in the streets with them, organizing and just talking to people like we do today. They say, on the thing a while ago, they said that the average person needs to talk to a person live like this, like 8 hours a day. We should be having conversations like this.
Wow.
8 hours a day.
That's a work day.
That is a work day.
In some states.
But think about how the communication level when we're communicating for that long a day. What are we talking about?
How did they come up with that number?
Communication and what? Like
to maintain your
compelling conversation.
You know how people aren't people.
Your healthy stimulants.
You know how people say you're a people person or whatever?
Yeah.
That doesn't come from nowhere. That person had a social life where he was able to express himself or do things, or her was in a situation where they were talking a lot and stuff. Like, you're funny as fuck, man, and you got a lot to say. Well, you had motherfucking a lot of brothers and sisters and stuff, so you got a lot to say. You got a lot on your mind and stuff. So that's why that is that way. Mm-hmm. But I imagine it's a lot like that. So it depends on where your upbringing, your experiences and stuff.
Of course.
It depends on how social or not you are. I am a social person, but I am also antisocial at times. Sometimes I just want to go read my book and not be around people and not really talk much. That's fucking okay. that's healthy. Actually, it's okay to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your balance, man. You got to be able to do that. A lot of moms, that's how they get autoimmune disease. They overdo it. 80% of women are the ones that get autoimmune disease, and it's because they're the caretakers. They're the ones that are always worried about their kids and all this stuff, and they have all these extra emotions and shit when really it's like, just relax, man. Most things in my life that I stressed went easy anyway. That's how I look at shit.
The women got more chemicals, right? They got more chemical balance problems.
I don't know how that works.
Hormones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But men are crazy though.
Yeah. It's balanced.
Men are testosterone, so we're just wild. We're wildly crazy motherfuckers.
Animalistic.
Yeah. Herd mentality-ish. Guys, this was fun, man, talking with you guys tonight.
This was a good one.
Friday. It's Friday. Hey, we don't got nothing. Oh, I didn't talk about the guy that committed suicide in the Boeing.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. We could save that one for the other one.
It's my bedtime, yo.
That's crazy. So the murder-suicide, it wasn't suicide.
He got Epstein.
He got Epstein.
But Boeing is
that's gonna be a new thing, bro. I like it.
Boeing is a military contractor.
Every time it happens now, that's what I'm gonna say. He got Epstein.
Boeing. You got Epstein, son.
You got Steen.
You got Steen.
I mean, it's not funny, you know. With all due respect, but you know, it's fucked up.
No, you can make jokes. Dude. That's what you're here for.
No, dude. Let me tell you what. That is okay because it is the way that
you gotta laugh.
Get away with
right.
it. That's the way throughout history that has sparked movements. Is because speaking out against leaders or governments or kings or queens or whatever you want to call it would bring death in some cases. But if you did it under satire, under the guise of satire and humor, they got away with it.
Yeah,
right.
Okay?
Right.
And that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. So you did it right.
Sure, yeah.
You gotta laugh. That's all that matters.
Right.
Like Eddie Murphy said, it ain't racist if it's funny. So he said, he's like, hey man, you gotta take the risk and say it. Motherfuckers laugh, you get past. That's the truth though in comedy.
Yeah.
I'm an Eddie Murphy fan.
Oh yeah.
I am Eddie Murphy was the best.
Hilarious and raw changed my life.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning in again. It's all about you. It really is. We really need more and more and more and more. So share. Like, or not. Whatever. I don't care. But we'd like for you to like. And also, we are going live soon. I don't know how soon, but it's a move we're got to make because I think we can move. I feel like I could do longer shows if I don't have to fucking do this shit. It's a long story, but we got plans and we hope to see you there, and we can't wait for all that to be unleashed. We got a new video to open it, all that stuff that goes on. It's gonna be fun. So,
all right.
Salud.
Salud.